So I found one or two videos on YouTube regarding the Toyota Supra dash removal, but for those doing the heater core, I couldn't find anything. And I am almost certain there's got to be a video out there, right? But until then, here's this one. And maybe this is going to be the one. I don't know. So, cover off the instrument cluster, the center console. I've got a lot going on here, right? It's all there. There's a lot of good stuff happening there. Got the steering column down. All that's removed. Now we come down to the HVAC box, the heating and air conditioning ventilation system. You've got a fan, you've got an AC evaporator, you've got your heater box and duct and valves and everything that goes from floor to vent, defrost and such. By the book, you are supposed to remove your shifter tower to pull the dash up and out because it gets in the way. You are also supposed to remove these seats, take out the carpet, and the reason to take out the carpet, which sounds ridiculous, and I think it is ridiculous, is for this duct here that runs along the side of the trans tunnel. There are two. There's one on each side. I cheated. It is my vehicle, and if anyone's doing this job for a customer, like a mechanic, my condolences, brother. If you're doing it by the book, you're gonna have to pull the seats and the carpet out. But if it's your own vehicle and you don't care, you can meticulously cut just beneath this air duct. Make sure you don't cut this one. You're just cutting there. And when it goes back together, I'll slide it back on and carefully, hopefully, apply maybe silicone, RTV, and maybe some tape, duct tape, because it is a duct. It's rare that I ever use duct tape for ducting. That never happens. So anyway, I'm going in for the heater core, which is right there. But you have to pull this assembly out. And this seems to be in three sections. You've got this, this, and this. This piece won't come out because this piece blocks it. It has overlapping tabs, mounts, and such. There's bolts down here. I think 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 down there. There's 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, there. But when you go to pull this out, you've got your heater hoses disconnected, and it kind of wants to come out, but it gets stopped by this guy. This guy, you get all the bolts out, and then you realize that well, you've got the wires and stuff. You got to unplug all that stuff. And it still doesn't want to come out. Why? Well, if you have half a brain, if you've worked on cars for long enough and have half a brain, you know immediately that you need to disconnect the air conditioning lines. And maybe it's because I was doing it at 6:30 in the morning before I had to go to work, and or I wrench on cars all day, so I'm already fried working on cars. But yeah. I tried pulling the thing out of the dash, and it was still attached to the AC lines on the other side. So, I'll show you. We walk around to the front, and my flash is not going to work because it's not available. I'm gonna grab my flashlight here, my handy dandy flashlight. So you got those two lines right there. You'll need to hold the lines on the firewall side. They do not rotate because they are attached to the pipe. But the nuts on the engine side, those will spin lefty-loosey. So towards the fender if you're holding the wrenches from them upward. But yeah, you disconnect those, put some WD-40 or something on them, let that soak in. The threads will be crusty. And if you notice, there are O-rings. You'll want to retain those O-rings and save them for later, preferably replace them with new ones or your AC will probably leak. At the very least, keep the old ones. It will definitely leak if you don't use an O-ring at all. Yeah. So that's that. And once that piece comes out, pardon me here, I gotta put the light back. Once that piece is out, I should be able to remove this section with the heater core. And then once I do the heater core, then we're going back together. I'll put the bar back in. I will test fit my new steering column. Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah. So maybe you guys saw this on the... That's not an 87 Supra steering wheel. No, it's not. That's more like a 2013, 2008 circa Toyota RAV4 or Scion or... yeah. So this steering wheel, this steering wheel is same spline count and size as our mk3 Supra here. It literally can be bolted right on. So if you want a new cool looking steering wheel that doesn't have any functionality, like the buttons don't work, you know, because your factory squib horn pad and everything, it will fit through there though. You could probably fab up a horn button or something. But anyway, that is the original steering column. Here is the updated steering column that I'm going to be installing. I'm using the electric steering from a 2013 Scion XB. I have no... how do I put this? I have not seen anyone do this. I don't have any reference to anyone doing this. So as of this video, at the time of this video, this hasn't been proven to work yet, but I have faith. There's been videos I've seen of people installing, one or two people have said they've allegedly installed the Toyota Prius steering column, but with modifications to the mounting to make the mounting fit. Because as you can see on this column, the mounts are much farther apart. Here's one, here's the other, and it's upside down compared to this one. These are much closer together, so I'm going to have to make the mounts wider. And the other problem I'm going to have is this motor sticks up. It's at about the 1 to 2 o'clock position when it's sitting upright like this, and there is a bar that's supposed to go across like that. This bar. And the mounting points for the steering are here. So if I don't get the mounting right, I believe it's going to hit, the motor's going to hit on this pipe. So I'm going to have to hack this pipe up a little bit and maybe weld in the window, a piece of metal where I make a window out of that pipe. Because we want to keep the structural strength of this thing, especially because we're about to make that hold the torque. This is going to be torquing on that pipe, which is ironic that the electric steering rack, because as you input a steering input in here, in this box there's like a clutch that detects the input and the output are physically connected still, but there's like a rubber bushing inside between the two. And as the bushing gets squished one way or the other, there is a magnetic sensor that detects the squish that goes between the two fingers. There's two sets of, if I had two hands, it's like this, right? Let's see if I can do this. Yeah. And as it goes one way, the magnetic sensor picks that up, and then it assists to center that rubber clutch, as I'm calling it. That's probably the wrong choice of words. The only thing you need in the world of electronics is the module that comes with it. There's an electronic module that is attached to it. It's pretty easy to figure out that these two fat wires are 12 volts power input, constant power, 60 amp. These two wires, these little piggies, they were CAN bus data lines to the PCM you're not going to need that. This is not the PCM, by the way. This is the steering module that, if that's helpful for anyone ordering online, there you go. This is a steering module. These lines go to a PCM, and I think it's mainly for VSS, vehicle speed sensor data. So as the vehicle speed increases, this knows it could turn down the torque assist, the steering assist. As your vehicle speeds up, you don't need as much power assist. Not necessary. When it loses the communication to the PCM, it's going to go into a default, and it's like a 68% or 60% assist, and it's still plenty to use, from what I've read, all the time, even in a parking lot. Hell, it's going to be better than nothing compared to... I drove this thing without power steering at all, and it's rough going around corners. You get strong arms. This little blue wire of mine, we're going to make it shine with 12 volts keyed on only. Only when it's keyed on. Which would be fantastic, because even if the engine dies, if we're keyed on, this will wake up the module to draw power, and this module will send, it processes the input from the steering column. There's the sensor wires and the legwork wires, the 3 wires for the electric motor. So this controls what this motor does. There's a sensor, there's a motor, and it's all done in here. And that's the brains of it. It will work without the PCM communication. As I said, yes, it'll have codes inside of it that you'll never see anyway. Your vehicle's computer is fine, you know, because this was made 20, 30 years before electric power steering was ever conceived. So that's going to happen in this. And I'm going to get rid of my hydraulic power steering pump. Why? Because it leaks. It leaks everywhere. It leaks on the pressure line. And yes, it is very hacked. But, you know, I'm not very good with, what do you call those? Dash 8 dash whatever aftermarket. Like, they use them in the performance world often, or military applications. I don't see them in the factory automotive world, like OEM stuff, and I am a mechanic that works on OEM stuff, typically explicitly. So that's what I did to make the pressure line work, but only works under minimal assist. You start giving it real cranking and it starts to leak. Anyway, the rack leaks as well. And, oh, you know, I would use a factory line. Unfortunately, there's a big fat turbo that I love, and it makes 18 pounds of boost or more if I choose to crank it up. And that downpipe that was welded on by the prior owner on that turbo compressor side, yeah, it gets in the way of the pump. So I'm going to get rid of the pump, and it's going to be great. Leaks, and come on, how exciting would it be to have power steering assist on a 1987 and no power steering pump? People are going to freak out. They're going to say, where's your power steering pump? Especially if it's a Supra nut. If they see that, they're going to shit themselves. Speaking of that, I gotta go.